The tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she sat across from her boyfriend of 2 years, watching him dismiss her concerns with a casual shrug. At 29, she had thought she'd found someone who understood her values, someone who saw women as more than objects for male entertainment. But yesterday's conversation had shattered that illusion completely. It started as innocent chatter about dental appointments when her 36-year-old boyfriend mentioned his best friend's unusual choice of clinic. "He only goes to this remote place because the nurses wear shorter skirts," he had said with a laugh, as if objectifying healthcare professionals was the most natural thing in the world. The casual cruelty of it hit Maya like a physical blow, but what came next was even worse. "I've been wanting to go there too, but it's so far away." The admission hung in the air like poison. Her boyfriend, a grown man who should know better, was seriously considering choosing medical care based on how much of women's bodies he could ogle while getting his teeth cleaned. Maya's stomach churned as she tried to process what she'd just heard. These were trained medical professionals, women who had studied and worked hard to build careers in healthcare, reduced to nothing more than eye candy for perverted patients. The thought of these women going to work each day, unknowingly subjected to this kind of degrading attention, made her feel sick. When she tried to explain why his comment was so hurtful, he brushed her off with infuriating dismissiveness. "Let's just agree to disagree," he said, as if her pain was merely a difference of opinion. "If you're the type of person who'd care about this stuff, I just won't bring it up in front of you anymore." The condescension in his voice was unmistakable. He wasn't sorry, he was annoyed at being called out. His solution wasn't to examine his behavior or consider her feelings. It was to hide his objectification better. The message was clear. He would continue thinking and acting this way, just more secretly. As Maya sat there with tears streaming down her face, memories of other incidents flooded back. This wasn't isolated, it was part of a pattern. Comments about women's appearances, jokes that made her uncomfortable, casual objectification presented as harmless fun. Each time she'd spoken up, he'd made her feel like she was overreacting. Too sensitive. Unable to take a joke. Growing up in their Asian country, Maya had witnessed firsthand how beauty standards crushed women's spirits. She'd watched friends struggle with self-worth, seen talented women reduced to their appearance, observed the daily microaggressions that accumulated into lasting trauma. The omnipresent objectification wasn't harmless. It was a poison that seeped into every aspect of women's lives. Her boyfriend's refusal to understand this context made everything worse. He lived in a world where his perspective was the default, where women's comfort and dignity were secondary to men's entertainment. His privilege allowed him to see her concerns as melodrama rather than legitimate pain. Am I being an obnoxious feminist? Maya wondered, the doubt creeping in as it always did. Society had trained her well when men hurt women. Women were taught to question themselves first. Was she too sensitive? Too demanding? Should she just laugh along with the casual degradation of her entire gender? But deep down, Maya knew the truth. Her tears weren't oversensitivity. They were a natural response to being with someone who fundamentally didn't respect women. His certainty and complete lack of remorse revealed everything she needed to know about his character. The conversation had exposed a chasm between their values that felt impossible to bridge. He saw women as objects. She saw them as human beings deserving of dignity. He viewed her concerns as nagging. She experienced his behavior as a betrayal of everything she stood for. As Maya sat in the silence that followed their argument, she faced a painful reality. This wasn't about one comment or one disagreement. It was about being with someone whose worldview was incompatible with her fundamental beliefs about human dignity and respect. The question haunting her wasn't whether she was being too sensitive. It was whether she could continue loving someone who saw half the world's population as entertainment for the other half. What do you think? Is Maya overreacting to her boyfriend's comments? Or are these red flags she shouldn't ignore? How would you handle being with someone whose views on women fundamentally clash with yours? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.